As the Northern Railroad winds its way through northwest New Hampshire, it passes through the rural town of Andover. In Andover at one time, there were as many as 5 different station locations. Undoubtedly the most famous of all these is this, Potter Place. The station you see here was constructed in 1874 by the Northern Railroad, and in 1961 was sold by the Boston and Maine. In the 1970s, it underwent extensive restoration to the way you see today and was sold to the Andover Historical Society in 1983. The station now houses a beautiful museum dedicated to the railroad that once thrived here. Potter Place is named after perhaps its most famous resident, Richard Potter. Richard Potter was born in 1783 as the son of a black slave and became perhaps the very first famous magician in our country's history. Potter moved here in 1815 and constructed a mansion on 175 acres of land. He died here at age 52 and is buried in this small plot of land just across from the Potter Place station. Things became quiet around here after heavy freight ended in 1973, and a local freight stopped running down most of this line in the late 1970s, although it did stop here at Potter Place, where there were a few small industries. In 1982, a derailment on the Conn River line north of Brattleboro temporarily shut down that line, and for about a week in May, the Boston and Maine and Central Vermont were forced to divert traffic down the Northern Main line from White River Junction. Moving at relatively slow speeds, the heavy freights crawled down the Northern over rusted, overgrown tracks, shocking and delighting locals all at the same time. Alas, it did not last long, and once the derailment on the Conn River line was cleared, the detours ended. The very last gasp of rail service on the Northern came in the summer of 1987. By then, the Boston and Maine had been purchased by Guilford Transportation, who gave the short line New England Southern operating rights up the Northern. When it was announced that fiber optic cable would be laid along the line, the New England Southern was tasked with relaying ballast when the work was done. For several weeks, the New England Southern ran short ballast trains as far as Gale Siding, just north of Potter Place, and relayed ballast all the way to Concord. Despite the hopes of locals for the resumption of trains through the area, this too was too temporary. It was over all too soon, and the rails sat in place until the 1990s, when they were removed for the Northern Rail Trail. Even though the Northern Rail Trail now runs where the Northern Railroad once did, Potter Place has its rails intact and left alone, which gives this place perhaps the best railroad feel anywhere on the Northern. And the cherry on top of it all is this 1957 Boston and Maine boxcar. For years, this boxcar was owned by Capital Plumbing and Heating and was stored behind their facility in the shopping center down in Concord. In the early 2000s, it was dragged out of there by the New England Southern and trucked up here and repainted back into its Boston and Maine paint.